Update. I won the lotto a while ago, and my family found out and is talking to me again. Original post. Hey, so I, 21 female, won the lottery quite a while ago. I don't really need to go further into how much, but a lot. I've decided to donate a lot of it to charities, especially towards NICU babies, since my son was in there, and then put the rest away. I didn't tell anyone about this whole thing because I knew friends and family could turn into money-grabbing folks. But I decided to tell my sister, who really needed the money to pay rent for herself, and told her not to tell anyone because of these reasons. She went against my wishes and contacted them. That really pissed me off. I mentioned to her that our dad will try prying back into our lives. So yeah, most of my family, being my dad and his side of the family, isn't talking to me because his family hates his children for being half Japanese, half European. He listened to his own mother and went back to his home country, but he is still in contact with my sister and brother who are the same as me. I was devastated at first, but eventually moved on, not having much closure from my dad. I've never met my mother either, apart from her giving birth to me and handing me over to my dad. She left after having 3 kids and depression. Well, as you can see, my family's back and talking to me as if nothing happened, and gaslighting me as per usual from before, saying I'm crazy, and that my dad never left. That my grandmother would come over to my house from her own country and pretend to visit her great-grandchildren while saying how sick she is and how her knees hurt, and she needs surgery but they can't afford it. Then my dad would come over, and at this point, I was wondering to myself why I was letting these people in, and eventually told them to leave after they asked to look after all of my money. Now they are slashing my tires, stealing my mail, trying to talk to my husband into letting them inside, Facebooking, emailing, etc. My mother also got in contact with me too for the first time in my life and immediately asked for money. She is an alcoholic, and I hung up and had a cry. My husband's noticed how badly this has escalated and asked if we should move to a better area. I didn't want to leave, mainly because of the kids' schools and friends around this area, but it's probably the best. I have no idea what to do about my family though. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Call the cops? Most of the harassment you listed were illegal. A restraining order could be put in place. It sounds harsh, but seems necessary. I think I might file a police report about the tire slashing and mail stealing. I don't know why I haven't done it sooner. Maybe I've just been giving them excuses since they're related to me. How much did you win? Do they know? If not, tell them you won like 10 grand and you gave the little you could spare and the rest went to try to cover debts. Also, family that only comes around for money isn't really family. That last sentence hit me. I don't really want to say how much I've won, but it contains a lot of zeros. My sister knew exactly how much I won, and I feel horrible for telling anyone about this, but what's done is done. They are stealing your mail to steal your identity and get their hands on your money. Also, cut the sister off. Tell your sister the money is gone, maybe she'll tell them and they'll back off. Get restraining orders and call the police if they are on your property. Slashing your tires and stealing your mail is illegal. Being related to you isn't an excuse. I'm going to file a police report and set up some cameras around the property. It seems like my best bet right now. Now for the update 2 months later. Hi everyone. Sorry for not posting an update. I have quite a few messages asking me how I'm doing, so I thought I'd post here on what's going on. I realized people were trying to figure out where I came from, since the dialect or the tone of my writing is a bit off. I actually have a bit of a learning disability, so my partner comes on and sort of corrects things for me. Well, we ended up having to move, which is no problem to be honest. It was the safer route for our little family that's growing. We also installed extra security and have contacted police, schools, neighbors, etc. I'll tell you the story. First of all, I'm just going to say that I stopped talking to my sister. She's acting as if she did nothing wrong, but she knows what she did. So about a month and a half ago, we had already started packing since we were moving away. My dad texted me and asked if I wanted to meet up, just myself. I said no at first, because I knew that he was going to try and yell at me again for not giving him any money, as well as my grandma. I looked into r/raised by narcissists, which was suggested by some people since he tries to gaslight me a lot. He then ended up writing an email and apologized for everything he had said and done on his and Grandma's behalf. I was actually surprised my dad was apologizing for the first time in his life. He then asked if we could meet again, so I caved in and met him. We went to a cafe and I had a really nice time talking to him, yet I felt a bit off. We were probably sitting there talking for about an hour. He was checking his phone a lot. After we left, I went straight home. My partner had our son with him and found that the property we were living in at the time had been broken into. I realized at that point that Dad used me as a sort of decoy or something. I called the police immediately and told them that we have secret installation and cameras, so we'll be able to see who did what and when. They scanned the house with a German Shepherd dog and had an inspection and investigation. Meanwhile, I contacted my partner and then went down to the police station with them. They started watching the videos, and behold, it was my own freaking grandmother. I guess she doesn't need that knee surgery then. I asked the officers what I could do, and, like many suggested in the first post, they suggested a restraining order, specifically a protection order, straight away. I had the evidence. I was so wound up. I just wanted to call my dad and yell at him, because I knew he and Grandma planned this together. I decided not to, because that could jeopardize things in court. They ended up stealing my jewelry and my partner's Oculus. No idea why. I told my partner to store it away properly, but he didn't. The police officer asked me why I didn't want to press charges on them for slashing my tires and stealing my mail. I said I had the benefit of the doubt about them, but I was wrong. The police found my grandmother and father around my property and arrested them. They were standing there pretending to be worried and sad that the house was broken into. My dad went to trial. He couldn't afford a lawyer, so he had a public defender. My father is to be sentenced to 4 years in prison for robbing our house. I ended up finding out that he did a home invasion many years ago, went to prison, and then came out and flew to his home country after his parole ended. I was taken aback by all of this. My grandma is currently in hospital because she actually did hurt her knee and leg from breaking into our house. At least right now, I have a protection order against them. They cannot come near me or my family or the property. As for my partner and my son, I apologized to him and said I shouldn't have met my dad. He understood and just said that it's normal to crave love. I'm really honestly heartbroken that my family would do this to me, but at least we've moved into a better property. I can get the therapy I need, and I can focus on my new family. Thanks for reading and for the support, guys. I really appreciate it. I really feel absolutely terrible for you, but I laughed my butt off at your grandmother's injury. Poetic freaking justice. Haha, I laughed too. She deserved it. I am so sorry this happened to you. Did you get the jewelry back? I did not. I assume they sold them, but it's fine because they weren't important. I stored the important jewels in our safe. I am so extremely sorry about your situation. I can't imagine what I would do in your place, but I think you handled it perfectly. There is no need to apologize about meeting your dad. He manipulated you into doing it, and it is 100% his fault. I'm so happy everything has sorted out for you and your family is safe. As for the emotional damage this has probably caused you, have you gone to therapy? That might help a lot with the fact that you were abandoned by your entire family. Yep, I am still looking into therapy, but I decided it was the best thing for me at least to go into. Hopefully I can get the help that I need. Thanks. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece her mother tried to give her away as a baby? I, 28 male, got into a huge argument with my sister, 31 female, last week. The argument had been simmering for a long time, as tension between us has been high for years. When I was 17, my sister had an accidental pregnancy, and when she told her boyfriend, he left her. Due to our religious family, she kept the baby, but once her daughter was born, she panicked. She didn't want to go through the legal troubles of adoption, so she asked that me and our mother take care of her kid. There was no legal custody, but it was an agreement made within the family. I essentially raised my niece from birth until she was 3, with help from my mother, as she was working to support the new addition to the family. I dropped out of school and took care of her, fed her, changed her, and taught her how to walk, while my mom was away at work. Then my sister met her now husband, cleaned her life up, and suddenly wanted her kid back. No warning, she moved back home, said thanks, and started being a mother. My niece is now 11 and doesn't remember all that I and her grandmother did. It's been a family agreement to forget this all happened until the argument. My sister made a petty comment during a fight where she implied that since I lost my job recently, I can't handle a responsibility. I snapped and told her she was lucky her daughter was too young to remember how she abandoned her. My niece overheard this and now wants to know what I meant. I outright said that her mother didn't think she could raise her and left her with me and Grandma. Now my sister says I traumatized her daughter, and my mom says I should have kept the secret like we agreed. I think this secret couldn't stay kept forever. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I'm here to give some more context and answer a bunch of the most common questions. When the argument happened, I had put my niece to bed hours ago. We were at my mother's house, and so no one knew she was going to come in. Secondly, after my niece was born, my sister moved states to get a job. Also, she was 20 and I was 17. And finally, in the aftermath, I said that we can't go back now since my niece already overheard us all talking. So as a group with her stepfather, we should get together to explain it better. But since the event, a week ago, my sister has been saying that we should let it blow over and that my niece will forget if we don't bring it up again. I'm frustrated at this, and at how she's now slating me alongside my mother. My mother believes I'm in the wrong for arguing with my sister in the first place, whereas I say she has no right to criticize me for losing my job when I lost my education to caring for her child. I'm trying to get in contact with my niece's stepfather to ask him for his opinion. Edit 2. Yes, I was asked by my mom to drop out of school, and I did so. I didn't go to college later. I had no intention of hurting my niece, but she had already overheard what was said, so I felt that keeping it from her now would just cause her confusion. I'm now trying to backpedal the best I can with the family's assistance to be able to properly explain the situation to her. But my sister and my mother both want to just pretend this never happened and hope my niece forgets as she grows up. Your mom completely sucks for allowing you to derail your own life for the sake of a 20-year-old woman not wanting to step up. It's shameful. You shouldn't have said what you said. But hoo boy, I can't even begin to understand the resentment you must feel. Not the a-hole. Make no mistake, it was an a-hole thing to do, but I'm giving you a pass. And it doesn't sound like you chose one day to approach your niece and tell her. Your niece overheard it in an argument, and you didn't lie to her when she asked. Imagine if you did lie to her. Her trust in you could have been broken. We all make mistakes. Panicking and leaving her child to be raised by her sibling was one. She should own up to it. And OP's sister has some nerve mocking him over losing his job, when she is the reason why he doesn't have an education or better opportunities. If I were this woman, I would express my gratitude to OP every day for the rest of our lives. Then again, if I were this woman, I would never have allowed my teenage brother to sacrifice his future to cover for my mistakes. Ugh, this whole post is infuriating. Last story. Am I the a-hole for ending my marriage without therapy less than a month before Christmas because I'm tired of being treated like a monster because I believe my stepdaughter needs therapy? 8 years ago, I, 33 female now, met a young widower, now 35 male, who had a 6-year-old daughter, 14 female now. He and his late wife had technically been separated at the time of her death, and so he was ready to move on. But I believe his daughter needed help, and a few times before we got married, I said as much. I was told she was just more reserved by nature, and she'd come around to me in time. This wasn't just my husband saying this either. His whole family were saying the same thing. They told me the proof was in the fact she wasn't being blatantly rude or disrespectful and wasn't throwing tantrums or acting out. I tried to build a good relationship with my stepdaughter, but the more time moved forward, the less it seemed likely or possible. She wasn't outright angry, but she wouldn't open up to me or willingly spend any one-on-one time with me. She spent one-on-one time with her dad, but at a certain point, when he and I had our first child, this also changed. Once I was pregnant with our first child, her behavior did change. She started getting angry, started cursing at me, and yelling at her dad for having another baby. She told him he betrayed her mom and she wasn't going to accept our child as a sibling or accept him being a dad to someone else's baby. After I gave birth, my husband did put my stepdaughter in therapy, or so he told me, and he said he realized help was needed. But when I was pregnant with our second child, I found out this wasn't really true. He instead took her to classes that were supposed to prepare kids for being an older sibling and were meant to help get them excited for a younger sibling. This was going on for months before I realized, and he argued at the time, that it was a form of therapy. I started speaking up more about my stepdaughter needing therapy, and it was, at that point, my husband and his family were acting like I was some monster. They asked me why I kept trying to force the issue, and why I couldn't accept her the way she was. While all this was going on, I never left her around the kids. She was also moving stuff and hiding stuff on me whenever she was home. She moved and hid the baby bottles, my phone charger, diapers, my phone, and many other things, even food. She would say in front of the whole family that she hated the kids and wished they had never been born. But they were shocked and didn't know what to say to me when I said she needed therapy. They said they felt like I was saying there was something wrong with her or saying she was a monster. I told my husband actual therapy was needed or I would be done. He told me I needed to trust him, as he's her parent and he knows her better than I do. Thanksgiving was my final straw. She told several of her cousins that she was going to break all her siblings' toys, and she was going to make sure they were so messed up from this Christmas because she hated them and wanted them to pay. I wasn't the only person who heard this, but I did insist that was exactly why therapy was needed, because she was bragging about wanting to upset her siblings. Yet again, I was the monster. Even my husband refused to accept she needed help. I was so tired of being the monster because I believed my stepdaughter needed therapy, and a lot of therapy at this point. That night I slept on a couch, and the next morning I told my husband I was done. I waited for the next day because I asked my parents if me and the kids could stay, and they didn't get back to me until very late. My husband wasn't expecting me to say it was over, but I told him I was done and I explained why. I have already filed for divorce, and to my husband, soon-to-be ex, and his parents, that is the worst thing. They keep making a point about leaving before Christmas, and that we never even tried therapy with my husband. Christmas and not going to therapy have been sticking points, but I wouldn't go with him after everything. He already lied to me once. He and his family have been calling me a monster, and his daughter is giddy about terrorizing our children, which he has zero issue with. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You should have left long ago, but good you are finally getting out. The only monsters in this are your husband and his stupid family. They are so in denial it is pathetic, and to the detriment of your stepdaughter, who is becoming a monster. All thanks to them, not you. I would never ever allow your children to be alone with him, because he is in denial, and because she will potentially harm and abuse your children. He needs supervised visits. Supervised visits are not that easy to make happen. I have some proof of all the things that have happened, but in all honesty, there likely will be not only supervised contact, but 50-50 custody is most likely the outcome. I honestly should never have married him. I should have trusted my own gut and should never have listened to what my husband and his family said. And I learned a very valuable lesson about trusting my instincts and not blindly believing everything will turn out okay.